Hi, and welcome to the Diablo podcast, your home for Diablo diehards, tryhards, casual, and hardcore alike. I am your host, Xanth, and today I am joined, once again, getting the gruesome twosome back together by my co host, Nerdwards.
Hello.
I felt like I had a lot of build up there.
You did. You
Like,
did.
I
And
gave you a
dropped it.
lot of, there was a
I
lot of
know.
runway,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I, just a little more
Yeah.
pep, a little more zip, a little
Yeah.
more pop. um okay, so let's get into it. So today we want to talk about the newest Diablo season, the newest reliquary, the newest PTR, and so much more Diablo news. But before we get into it, we're going to take a moment here and acknowledge our missing co-host, Nineball. Again, we do this for fun. I want to stress that. Anybody who listens, one, thank you. I think that's pretty cool. Anybody,
Thanks for hanging.
yeah, exactly. Anybody who listens to us, we don't get paid. What's that stuff they give you in exchange for your time? Money. We don't get paid money. We don't run ads.
That.
If you're getting an ad, please let me know and be like, oh, I heard. Unless it's like that stupid "don't choose the red racer" stupid YouTube ad you might get. Um, but yeah, we don't do this for the money. And sometimes life gets in the way. He's coming back. He ain't going anywhere. He's got thoughts that he has messaged me, and I will bring them up at the appropriate time. And he doesn't listen to this shit anyway. So again, now
They'll
that
never know that we mentioned it
right
at all.
now that we got the time, we can just bag on Nine Ball. So here's what I'm gonna ask you to do. Those of you who listen, just drop one mean Nine Ball comment, like
Yeah.
you once saw him throw a potato at a horse, and
Mm.
we'll bring
Yeah.
him up next time that he's on, and we're like, oh man, these comments have just been piling up, Nine Ball, because he doesn't listen, and I think it'll be funny. Well, mean Nine
Yeah.
Ball comments, but keep them as random as possible. Okay,
Yeah. The more random, the better, really.
I think that would be great.
Absolutely.
He once punched a baby. I mean, I believe it.
No idea.
I'm
I had
not.
no idea.
I wouldn't put it past him. He does live in Florida, so lots of baby punching going on there. But that being said, it's
I would
been
like to apologize to all of our Florida listeners.
too busy
Xanth, it's me.
punching babies to tune in. So, Nightball, not anybody who lives in Florida.
Yeah, just not.
Although, um, okay. So we have not had a chance to talk. The last podcast we had was preseason, and then life has a tendency to happen. I think we were all what I've always enjoyed about doing this is we take a little more time to digest. Not as much of a knee jerk. We've had a little bit of that separation from the launch, subsequent patches, so on and so forth, to now kind of come back and dig through it a little bit. So launch day happens. How was your season launch? I know it was going to be a little delayed. Tuesdays are not a great day for you, but
Sure.
let's just start the first week. I mean, how did your first week of Diablo season 8 go?
It was good, if not a little rocky at first. I yeah, the Tuesday night launches are tough for me because of my work schedule, but I was able to jump in the first night. I was able to get a couple hours, and I think I finished like around level 40, somewhere in that range. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I played a little. I had to play a little more casually through the week until we got to the weekend, and then I was able to go a little harder on the weekend. But even on the weekend, like I had work things and personal things kind of pulling me away. So my game time has been a lot more casual lately. And when I say casual, it's still like a couple hours a day or something like that, but not like an 8-hour session, things like that. So yeah, I mean leveling was a little rocky. It wasn't like tremendously slower, so that was good. Like it was definitely like slower, but it wasn't as slow as I was anticipating, so that was good. You could still get through it pretty quickly. But I did notice the like, especially like from the like I don't know level 30-ish range, it felt a little like stuck in the mud, kind of. And then, once you got through that and you started getting to the end game, it definitely got a lot more pleasant. But I definitely did experience like some kind of like a bit of a slog before I was able to hit max level. And then once I hit max level, I found myself really like a lot enjoying the like end game beginning and like mid gear progression a lot more this season, which we'll get into. But yeah, that first week was really just a lot more casual play, and I also kind of made myself get through it and didn't get carried through. I had friends that were on that were a little ahead of me, and I kind of worked my way through it. I wanted to go through it with the changes, and it wasn't great, but it didn't feel terrible. It just felt a little more stuck in the mud. But that also could have been my build that I was playing as well too. I was playing a different build, so it could have been a build thing. But yeah, overall though, very pleasant and just a little more casual than usual.
So when I'll give just a brief little recap on my part. I started day one, jumped in on Druid because I am a sadist on hardcore. Still haven't died. We'll talk about why later. Um, but I jumped in on Druid. I felt a lot of what you were talking about in terms of that slowness. It felt like getting things up and online to be effective by comparison to seasons prior did not feel as good. But that's also season start. Like you have like I don't have as many aspects. I got to go kind of hound them and figure that out. Um, but I definitely did feel that early on of just like, all right, I'm just kind of piecemealing it. This is okay. It'll be fine. Uh, when you were leveling from a softcore perspective, do you just stay on normal till torment, or do you bump that up at all?
I didn't. Some of my friends did for sure. My buddy's playing a barb and he got some pretty good drops pretty early and was able to kind of bump it pretty quick. I had one of my friends who played Necromancer. He always plays Necromancer every season, always plays Minion Necromancer every season, even when it was really, really bad, up to when it was really, really good. But has this particular vision for his Necro that he always goes through no matter what the meta is. And he played the whole start to the season on Penitent. Like he started and just went all the way through on Penitent, and he did just fine. Using a build that was not like crazy, crazy good. Like he wasn't using Mendel's version, I think, of summons, so he was kind of doing it a little different. Um, I stay on hard. I like the old Diablo 3 classic, just stay on hard difficulty and rock that the whole way through. It just seems like it's the easiest. Once you hit 50, then I switch to Penitent. Do all of the like oh my gosh, all of the fortresses, all
Strongholds?
of the strongholds. Yes, yeah. So hit 50, do all the strongholds on hard difficulty, or on drop it down to normal difficulty. At that point, do all the strongholds, and you're level 60 by the end of it, and you can go to Torment 1 pretty easy. So, I've kind of used that strategy forever, but again, I've seen people do it different ways, and they all seem to really enjoy it. I mean, I don't think anyone got hard stuck or was in a bad spot at all. And like I said, even playing suboptimal builds, some people were playing on Penitent and enjoying that. So.
Hmm.
That
I,
wasn't me. I don't want to be challenged like that until I get later in the game. Like I'm not. Yeah.
yeah,
But
I would wholeheartedly agree. I still don't feel like we need that many difficulties pre-torment. It just doesn't feel necessary. And even with not even touching anything outside of normal, I felt like leveling was totally fine. I didn't
yeah,
feel like I ever needed to bump it up, and it didn't feel like the XP increase versus the monster health increase and all of that was ever worth it. Like it just felt I'll just hit max level this way and I'll be totally fine. If anything, it's safer.
sure.
Um, yeah, it definitely did strike me as something like if we were trying to uh, point at things to fix down the road, like do we really need them? Do they need to exist anymore? Since 1 to 60
Sure.
doesn't really matter anyway, right? It really
Yeah.
doesn't have as much value. Why do we need to put any modes in it? Because once you're in torment, are you ever going to go back? Like you would, no. So
Sure. Well, I think that my only counter to that would be, I mean, you're right. I don't think it's necessary. I play on one difficulty, but like, I think I just gave a good example of like, there are people that want penitent, and it doesn't hurt me by it being there, right?
right,
And so like having those difficulties, yeah, is it maybe unnecessary? Maybe, but there's a quality of life piece there. I think for some people, I'm not those people, but for some people that want to shift it up and they want more of a challenge while leveling, and I think that's fine. I don't think they would ever remove it, but I do think it's needless because again, I just go from hard to penitent to torment, and then
right,
that's it. So
yeah. Whatever. Let's not spend too much time dwelling on difficulties that don't
No,
matter.
we should talk about difficulties for the next like 45 minutes or so.
Uh, yeah, I feel like we could. I mean, we've been doing this show long enough. We could
So Torment
talk.
16. Sorry.
Could we scale? Could we do more torments?
You know that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, but not today.
Nope,
So,
not today. We're not putting it out there.
as you were leveling, did you purchase the new battle pass?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. Not for any particularly like motivated reason. I just haven't. I've been playing and I've been enjoying it. I've like gone to like claim things, but I haven't engaged with that at all. Not yet.
Had you purchased all the battle passes prior?
No.
Okay.
In fact, I got the first one for free, even though I didn't want it. I wanted to save it. I was one of those that was stuck and got that first one for free. And I think I bought like season 2 and then maybe one more season. I think like 2 seasons I did buy just the regular battle pass. Um, but yeah, the rest of the time I have not actually.
Okay. I think that's an interesting perspective. So, being a Diablo partner, we do get the battle pass for free, and have in each season so far. Um, what are your thoughts? You're not having to dig into the reliquary as much because you just have the access to the. We have the Berserk one now, but you also just had the free tier. Uh,
Right.
what were your thoughts on it as you were interacting and kind of going through?
I mean, I haven't really interacted at all. I think I've claimed a couple things, but they were things that I haven't used or equipped at all. Like a couple of cosmetics. I was like, oh, I think I want to do the weapons, right? So I started going through and getting some of the weapons, and then I actually haven't looked at it and I think about it in a while, so I probably should go back and check. I bet I have stuff I can go get. I don't know.
Oh wait, so you don't have just the basic free tier. You have the non-premium one, right? You don't have the
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Because yeah, the free tier just has access to about 5 different cosmetics and some platinum, and then that's it.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
able to go through and choose kind of throughout. Okay. Um, so it's not of really any concern for you.
It hasn't been so far. I mean, I admittedly like it's kind of been out of sight, out of mind until you just brought up like, oh wow, yeah, I haven't actually looked at that in a minute. So, I actually probably need to check it out and see what's what. Because usually that's the way I go. Like if I'm gonna buy a battle pass, I'll look at all the stuff, but I'm not gonna make that decision preemptively. Like because I would hate to buy a battle pass and then something awful happens and I lose playtime or can't finish the season journey and then I don't get all the things that I want to get and all that, right? I like to make sure that I'm making good. Like, okay, I'm pretty bought into the season. I know I've got a lot more game time left, and I'm more than halfway through. I'll go ahead and buy it now and just get all the stuff. Um, but yeah, I haven't even looked at it yet this season.
Hmm. I have found, like, especially while leveling, I was getting the consistent notification of reliquary point, reliquary point, reliquary point.
Yeah, I have seen that for sure, and I've looked at the screen,
Right.
but that's all I've really done.
I did have a few moments during hardcore where, like, it was the zone was cleared out. I was safe, right? But then I
Mm,
I would go to open, the inventory quick. It's like, okay, let me just slide over and see how many reliquary points, just for a moment. I'm not meaning to spend a large amount of time, and then like it just freezes. And in
mm,
hardcore, that could be a death sentence. Yes, I should be
sure.
looking at my inventory in an open area, but for a brief second I should be okay. But then the freeze from the reliquary, I had a few moments with that, but that's not my big concern with the reliquary. I don't think it is better. I don't feel like this system is replacing something in a meaningful way. It feels like a lateral downgrade by comparison to what we used to
Sure.
have. Uh,
Sure.
there are fewer things to get. There are more buttons to click to get anything that you had. It was quite easy on the old battle pass to just kind of click claim, 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 claim. I don't have to worry about it. I just kind of grab the 10, 15 things that I have. I've got a few cool new pieces there. I don't have to interact as much. For
Right.
every single thing, I've got to go in. I've got to select it. I've got to choose to pay with either the reliquary point or with platinum. And then I've got to confirm it. and I'm doing this all the time to the point where I'm just like I don't want to. Like
You're spending a lot more time in the menu than you'd like to. Like it's like,
right. In
yeah,
and it's all actually I'm spending more time for less. I'm spending more time for less because there is fewer things in there. There are fewer armor sets. The armor tab is just the armor set for each individual class,
right.
as opposed to in the previous ones where you would have one class agnostic set. Technically you still have that, but they just give you the armor tab where you can then be like, all right, I'll get the druid one and the hunter one, and like it just not hunter one but the rogue one.
Hmm.
It just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel like this is a better system. It
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly like stoked on it. Like I don't, I just jumped in just to look at it, and yeah, basically, the first free tier I had unlocked 4 of the weapons, and then I haven't looked at it at all, and I have 53 tokens to go
hmm,
back through and go buy stuff now. And just looking at it, not super. I mean, it's cool, whatever. But yeah, again, like I feel like it was an unnecessary change. Like you said, it was a lateral change. It felt like, and a bit of a bit of a downgrade, a bit of a nerf.
it
Um,
it
yeah.
feels more like a mobile game in some ways
Ooh,
of how
yeah.
like how much interactivity
How it looks and how. Yep.
I
Yeah. No,
need
you're
to
right.
have with it. And
How Diablo Immortal of you.
like I think there are places for that. It seems by like knowing what they had prior, which was very much like, hey, buy the battle pass. You're gonna get all these things. It's gonna just kind of happen, right? It's gonna happen as you're
Yeah.
leveling. You you like at most you have to interact because you want to get your ashes, right? Or it yeah, it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good by comparison. Um,
Sure.
to the point where I have been actively just not interacting with it because I can it's there's so much tedium baked in. And I'm not going to go in after every point. Um, I don't want to check each
Right.
individual tab to see like, oh, can I even afford something in here yet? How many more points? Like I don't want to think about it. And
Right.
yeah, it just doesn't feel good. Um, I think this might be the first battle pass that I won't finish. Like I just don't
Mm,
like I don't have a drive to like, oh, I really need to grind out the 10 more reliquary points. And I'm granted, I'm not playing as much, and we'll get into that, kind of later on, but I don't feel the need to log back in to try to do that. Whereas in any other
right.
season, it was like, oh yeah, like I want to get the Raven, not a crow, Raven. Or I want to get to the end and get the mount. I want to get to the end and do that. Like just because like I have it, I should try and get it. I don't have as much of that drive here, and yeah, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm not upset about it.
Sure.
I'm not gonna quit Diablo or anything like that. But
Right.
it seems like there's a lot of need for improvement, and we are getting a PTR somewhat soon. We're gonna hear about a PTR somewhat soon. Maybe this is something in our next season that gets adapted and changed upon. I mean, it's a moneymaker, right? And if fewer
Sure.
people are utilizing it, maybe some changes do happen.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I actually just realized I have enough of like the currency. I forget what the currency's called, but the coins or whatever. I have enough where I can get the battle pass for free actually. Um, but like you said, I'm not. I mean, one, there's nothing that's particularly motivating for me, because I have, like I said, I have a skin already that I like, that I like, typically would use, and yeah, everything else. I mean, like there's some pretty cool. I mean, there's some cool looking stuff, but nothing I'm super motivated by, and just felt like a lot of changes for seemingly no positive reason. So I don't know.
Right.
It's interesting. It
Yeah.
makes you wonder how much, and maybe we're just out of touch with it. I don't know, but were people really upset with how it was before? Like, did they really hate how it was before? Because it didn't feel like it was that big a deal.
Honestly,
But I don't know.
I don't know. I felt like most of the criticism of the battle pass in Diablo's history was early on. Like it happened
Sure. Yeah.
as it was being introduced. Like, hey, this isn't cool. We don't want this in Diablo. But that
Right.
was it. Like that was the gist of it. It then it just was a part of the season.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
yeah, I think the initial uproar about the battle pass had faded, and maybe it was in need of a refresh for the game's been out for 2 years. We want to keep money coming in. People have forgotten
Sure.
about it. Let's change it. Sure. I don't think change is necessarily bad. I just don't think this was an improvement. So
Sure.
let's see. Let's see what happens. It's not just mounts, right? It's not just sparkling mounts and armors. We got we got more to talk about here. Let's talk about the season itself. Let's talk about incursions. Let's talk about bossing and gearing, boss powers, material bottlenecks, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about that season mechanic, right?
Sure.
Incursions. How did you like incursions at the start, and how many incursions are you doing now?
I mean, it's probably what I'm doing the most in the game. Just because, well, so much of the season journey is tied to leveling the boss powers, and I'm a dummy, and I played a build leveling that used certain boss powers, and then my boss powers were different ones. So I spent a little longer leveling boss powers that I shouldn't have, um, because they were working for my build. But then I realized, once I read some things, I was like, oh, this is way better. you know, I had tried some things out and they didn't feel very good. And then when I realized and read about some interactions, I went, oh, that makes way more sense. So I've kind of had to like swap boss powers a couple times, and that slowed me down a little bit. But I've enjoyed engaging with that like system, anyways. I mean, it's par for the course for what you've seen for other ones. I think I like the vibe of these better. I don't know, something about like a zone being taken over, like the witch tides, like the were where like the whole zone's just a thing, is one thing. And I know this is kind of the same thing. Like it's, I mean, mechanically, ones on the ones and twos, it is basically the same thing. But the like flavor in which it's presented and like having to like, oh, there's going to be an invasion of the zone, and then like clicking the eyeballs actually is really satisfying to me. Like you click them and they explode into poison and mobs, and I think that looks pretty cool. And it feels like there's things like happening there rather than you just show up and there's already things there. So I think that like that's an interesting aspect to it. And yeah, but yeah, I've enjoyed them. I've enjoyed them. I mean, the boss powers or whatever, like there's some really cool ones. There's some really broken ones that are very, 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 very strong for everybody. Which is typically how these things go. But it does seem like there's enough of a variation where, like, playing with different ones, there is, because I've played with several different boss powers at this point, and I could see a use for all of them. But there is like oh, this is definitely the best for damage. And then they added the boss power with cooldown reduction, so now everyone's got to use that one, right? So like, there's some obvious choices that they probably should have learned from. Like, if you put cooldown on something, we're going to have it when every skill in the game has fucking cooldown. Um, maybe just a design thought. Um, but I just, yeah, I mean, I overall have enjoyed the vibe. I've enjoyed the different bosses that have popped up. I've enjoyed doing like world bosses and things like that to just get a power and have it. That's pretty handy. Like, oh, I know I really want to use Wandering Death's power. Oh, there's a world boss popping and it's Wandering Death. Okay, that was a cool thing that happened the first time it happened. Now, mind you, afterwards it's kind of whatever. It's still good, Ash, so you can level your powers, but it's not as impactful. But there was like that first kill of like a boss you wanted to get their power when it was pretty cool. Um, yeah, overall those zones are fun though. They're there's a lot going on, a lot of stuff to smash, a lot of poison, and I got feelings about that, but a lot of poison. Um, but overall I think it's been pretty fun, and I've enjoyed it a little more from a flavor aspect I think than some of the other ones.
Wow. So I'm gonna point out that I feel like this is going to be one of the weirdest podcasts that we have ever
Uh
done.
oh,
Cause
why?
Nerdwards, you get shit on way too often for being way too negative about the game. And I think
I mean, I'm pretty negative.
yeah,
I
but
don't mean to be.
I don't think you're necessarily negative. I think you're critical, and I'm hearing you.
Sure.
You're glowing, and about this particular thing. I have not
I
liked
don't know
it.
if I'm glowing, but it's not been bad.
I think by
I've had fun.
for me by comparison, the reskinning of legions to incursions has it was kind of fun in the leveling of it. Um,
Hmm.
but then it just kind of wore out real fast in terms of especially like
Oh, sure.
the variety in it. Like that you're right, that initial chase to like, okay, I'm gonna get these different boss powers, and man, I need this guy to show up. And then I don't know, it just didn't have as much happening. Like if we were to look at the last season with the witch tides, I felt like each time I entered into one, I had a myriad of different activities I was trying to do. Like I was trying to complete
Sure.
all these little quests, and then this thing pops up over here, where they're summoning stuff. I'm gonna run over there because that's gonna be fun. Okay, that ended. Now let's go here, and let's go here, and let's go here, and then
See,
I'll
that
turn
might
that
be a
in.
fatigue thing because the summoning of the thing, like the kind of the same thing as the mistress in the blood in the Helltide,
Mm.
like that mechanic. I have grown tired of that mechanic. I think,
Oh,
and that's not here. Maybe that's what it is. That's the only thing I can think that's meaningfully different.
yeah, it's not to say that like there isn't. Diablo gets that criticism for like just reskinning Helltides. Part of reskinning the Helltides is there is stuff to do there, and I feel like the
Right.
the incursions,
Whispers and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, incursions just feel sparse. Of like I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna chase this, hopefully, and playing hardcore. I had found, especially like it seemed to be when I was playing, the zones themselves were dead. Like I would go into
Oh, I
incursions.
that's not it. I can't. My actual like feedback for this is that like my only problem with incursions is it took me a while to actually figure out what my power level was and
Mm.
what I could complete. Because if I was just staying in that content, there's so many people. Every zone's full every time I'm in there, which is great. I mean, like it's a world you're supposed to whatever, but there's barbarians spinning and rogues destroying stuff, and I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I'm really good. And then like I go do a dungeon of the same level, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not. Nope, that wasn't me. I wasn't doing that. So maybe that is, I think, a difference maybe between just softcore and hardcore of just
Right.
the servers are a little more populated for sure.
It's already a smaller player base. I totally get
Right.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, going in and like it just kind of being dead didn't feel good. And then when I would go in and there might be another one, maybe two people, then I would encounter what you're talking about, where other people's power
Yeah.
was scaling so far. And then like that's the problem with the open world of it all is power levels are so vastly exaggerated that it is hard. Like
Yeah.
I also, as again talked about top of show, I played a druid, which was stupid because everything else is more powerful. Um, that's my cross to bear here, but to bear.
I get it. No, for sure. It's
Okay,
definitely better when you point it out like that, though.
it's humor just goes over people so fast. I found, especially my humor, because like I'll make these jokes and like nobody laughs for some reason. I don't know why. And then I explain it to them. And,
Yeah.
obviously you
And
explain a
then
joke. It's
and then they
never
laugh
funny.
harder.
Yeah.
That's no. They laugh harder. It's way funnier.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
again my cross to bear. But see, second time. Second time's a charm.
Yeah, for sure.
But that kind of power scaling obviously throws things off. And it just wasn't
It does.
as
Yeah.
it I found myself wanting to do them not at all. And then like,
Sure.
you have to grind like early on, you kind of have to be there to get that board going. I'm just like, I'm
Yeah.
just not I think that's where in getting to I had an incursion. I was like level 45 and it froze up on me. I think it was probably due to the reliquary thing where I'm just like, you know what, if this character dies, I'm just gonna be done. I'm just gonna stop. Like, because I know I'm gonna have to come back and do this part of the game all over again. And I'm just
Yeah.
not enjoying it. Like, I
And
just,
maybe take this season to play softcore instead.
ugh, but
Okay,
why?
whatever. You've done it before. Come on.
Yeah,
I
but
get it.
like,
I mean, I don't
no.
get it, but I understand.
But I was obviously able to push through that. But yeah, the incursions themselves, I think because quickly you fill up all those boss powers, right? You collect them all in Pokemon fashion, but all the other ones are gated by the
I mean,
content.
I still don't.
Oh,
I still don't have them all.
I don't have them
Okay,
all.
I was going to say I still don't have them all.
There
So
are
I don't know that that's true.
there are certain
The ones that are
bosses,
random, sure, but there's bosses I have like layer bosses I have not done yet.
right?
So they're like I don't have their powers, but yeah,
There
I know what you mean.
there are certain bosses I'm not going to touch.
Oh, which ones?
Lilith.
Was?
Sorry, at playing hardcore, I won't. I can.
Aren't you a Souls fan, brother? Isn't this the
I
content
I
that you want in your Diablo game?
I think Souls games are great. They don't
I know.
often have unavoidable one shots that require,
Oh, for sure.
like it's
Yeah.
not. I think Lilith, especially with the modifications that they've made this season, so that you can't power through her first phase, makes her significantly more difficult for
Hmm.
no apparent reason. And then I'm not going to touch that boss power. Maybe I guess a few weeks from now I'll make an attempt, but I'm going to die. And then the other world
but I'm gonna,
bosses.
but I'm gonna
Yeah.
die. That was. I felt like that was an internal monologue that slipped out.
Yeah. I know myself. Um the other world bosses have also been a sticking point because it seems for
Sure.
me at the time that I'm logging in and I do find a world boss, it's avarice. I've had avarice every single time.
Mm.
I have yet to see wandering death, which would be the one that I actually would kind of want for any sort of channeling. But
Power's really good. Yeah.
yeah, I've not had that world boss spawn, and like that timer being what it is also kind of doesn't feel good. To have that gated in this regard. I I'm unlike the previous seasons. It's out of reach depending on my time played, right?
Sure.
And it's not to say that I'm not playing, or during the at least the initial start wasn't playing significantly. It's just
Right.
it just didn't pop at the right times, and no
Well, and
power for me.
I think that that's the trick though, is that like I empathize with that, right? Like, because I've been there in moments, like not this season, thankfully, because this season would be more impactful than others. But there's been seasons where like, man, I really need a world boss, but I've been pulled away and I've not been able to catch the timers.
Right,
I definitely feel that for sure. That said, though, we also, as a community, like want things to be a grind and be harder and be further, right? And have that carrot last a little bit longer. And so it's like too easy to get versus I can't get it because of how my personal time to play. That's a tough one. Maybe it's the fact that they just need to rotate them more thoroughly, or maybe like up the spawn timer during this season because boss powers are available. It's hard to say, but I understand why that's a difficult design choice because like they have a system for it, they've used that system for it, and there's other ARPGs that have used that same system, and the same frustrations come out. It's I know Lost World had that, like where there's bosses on timers, and if you miss the boss, man, it might be 2 or 3 days before you see that boss again. So
right.
like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's uh it's a sticking spot. Like I'm checking every time I'll log in. I logged in this morning, played for just a little bit. No luck, right? I'm just not hitting the right times. Life gets in the way, and that's okay. I've also haven't felt as much of a pull on the boss powers. Sure, they're great. I don't know. I have not felt as much of a desire to kind of push forward with them. But that's me. What you said, you yourself have been enjoying them. What have you been finding
Yeah,
that in
yeah.
terms of the boss powers that has been engaging to the point where you're not only um, leveling them, but are also then switching them out and kind of I guess tinkering way more than what I would.
Well, I think that honestly, it's been like, and I mean this with all due respect to the big grinders out there that have put in a lot of time to give us a lot of data and information on things that I would never have had the time to figure out myself. But not using guides, like not using step-by-step walkthroughs on how to make a character, because the thing about Diablo 4 that I think really creates friction for the player is that unlike many other ARPGs, there's like you can look at a guide and you could put all the points into the right skills and you could put all the Paragon points in the right place and put all the right gear with the right stats on. But sometimes like you have to be able to make the decision to make an alteration to that build to fix a problem. Like I'll give you a great example. Like my build, I'm running an Ice Shards Sorcerer, and it's been fun. It's been really fun. It's like a kind of a shotgun, like stutter cast build. I love stutter casting in ARPGs. I I want to play a ranged character in an ARPG, and that's very difficult for any Diablo game to achieve ever. So it's nice when you can try to make one work. And Ice Shards feels like it's kind of melee in the sense you want to try to hit because it like sprays out ice shards in like a shotgun blast type animation. So if you're up close, you can hit him more, but you can still do pretty good damage from pretty far away as well. So it's there's nice play there, I think that's fun. But I was running into a problem where like I'm destroying everything on Torment 2. Like Torment 2 was stupid easy. It wasn't it was super super easy. But then I go to Torment 3 and like my defenses and my resistances just are not there. Like I get hit. I'm still doing great damage. I can still destroy from a damage standpoint, but if something looks at me wrong, I just fall over dead. Like it was really, really bad. I was trying to play with a couple of my buddies who, were further ahead of me in the gearing, and so they could handle T3 really well. But, we were doing Infernal Hordes, and I'm dying like crazy. I was like, guys, this isn't fun, and I'm just taking away, your fun. I'm gonna go drop and try to something else. So I like dropped out, and I like took the build that I was looking at, and I just went, okay, what power can I reduce? Because I'm doing plenty of damage. And then just kind of going through the mental gymnastics of like, okay, I could take this modifier off and add some resist all, some more armor, some percent armor, and then I could do this. And then now I'm hitting my caps. And then just kind of make those things. You know what? I could take this boss power to give myself additional damage reduction or something else instead of the damage one that I'm running right now. Just like, or one that makes me more mobile. That way I can move out of stuff better. Um, like just switching powers to try out what I need in the moment, right? Like I have this build, I know what I want to do. I want to do damage with ice shards. How can I make that more mobile and more safe? And then so you take it and you kind of make adjustments. And I think most people just try a build and go, this is either really, really fun and awesome and fuck yeah, great stuff. Or they don't have it all the way connected. They haven't connected all the dots of like what they need. Because honestly, that same build I could have kept exactly the way it was if I just had a larger number of Paragon to go get some more stuff in my boards. I'm just not there yet, right? So for now, I make those pivots, and I just don't know that everyone makes those pivots. I think that just creates friction with people. And I don't think that that's a complexity necessarily that Diablo is unique or like created or innovated on in any important way, but I do think it is slightly different enough from Diablo 3 and Path of Exile and other games that you have to look at it differently, and if you don't, it really creates friction. And it's an inconsistency in the space, but I also think that it can be fun, and I've enjoyed engaging with it quite a bit. Like tempering on the suboptimal thing to be able to get, make sure my cooldown is good, make sure my lucky hit chance is really good because it's a lucky hit chance build. Making sure again armor and you've got enough max life, or maybe even like I'm going for mana regen on boots. Like that's interesting, right? Like I haven't done that in forever. So just it might be the build that I'm playing, but I've had a lot of fun tinkering with trying to optimize it. And once I get to the end game with all the mythics and all the mythic uniques and that stuff, I'm sure it'll be locked in. This is the best thing to do. But right now, that kind of like innovation and tweaking has allowed me to have a little more fun with the season than I normally would.
I think that's an interesting perspective, and it is one that has been echoed out. It is interesting to kind of dip into the Diablo 4 Reddit as like a barometer for what people are thinking about the game. obviously anybody who's willing to go onto the internet to talk about a video game is not what I would consider casual anymore, right? Like the we have this weird ranking of like what makes somebody a casual player, but the second you're going and posting about a game, I think you're going beyond what is a casual interest in the game. And then there are the people who are streaming, the game 8-10 hours a day, and like that to me is like the hardest of hardcore. But I think that Reddit is a decent barometer for what people are feeling, especially in the early days of a season. A lot more
Sure.
negativity. And now, as you go there, what you're seeing are more people talking and sharing experiences, kind of like what you're sharing of, enjoying where Diablo is at. I'm seeing more
Yeah.
posts about how this, for them, feels like the best season, or one of the
I don't know if I would
best.
say that. I would not say that.
I'm
I don't think it's like
I
suboptimal
wholeheartedly
or subpar.
disagree, but I'm
Right,
saying
right,
people
yeah.
are saying
Yeah.
that.
No, and that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not on that. I just want to be clear. I'm not there. I don't think it's the best season ever. But I've had fun with the season. Like I definitely have more so than I thought I would, and I've engaged with it more than I thought I would, for sure.
I uh
It's your least favorite season.
I would say this season to me feels worse than season 1.
Wow. I liked season one though, so
Season 1 gets a lot of shit.
for sure. Well, I thought season two would be the one that gets a lot of shit.
Season
More
2,
so season one.
season 1 was like, cuz we had release, and then season 1 is Varshan and the Malignant Hearts.
Yeah, but that was the nerf,
That was the
the
nerf,
nerf to yeah for
right?
sure. Yeah, no, I mean that nerf needed to happen. There's
Yeah,
another nerf that needs to happen. Like we need to
several.
squish these powers a bit. I mean, I think that's my biggest gripe with the season. Actually, is it's going to be really hard to make Belial feel impactful moving forward.
Right.
Like you can't do an expansion with Belial now. Like
Yeah.
he was a seasonal guy, right? I mean, at least
Or
Dariel made
it
it into the
was an
story. Dariel made it into the
illusion.
story. I mean, sure, right? And that's fine. But I just like it. I think I think that all this means, and this is probably me just drinking the copium, but I think that like for me, them doing Belial like this means that we're not going to see Belial in future content, right? So it's kind
Mm,
of like taking him off the board. Because like I mean, what are the shot that the next expansion, the big boss is Belial, and how bad that would feel right now for anyone playing this season pretty actively.
I mean,
I mean, not to say that he's bad, but like we've been there now, right? We're doing that
I guess
currently.
the better question would be, what are the shot that the next expansion has Mephisto as a boss? Because you think 100, but
We, yeah, yeah.
okay, that was a pot shot, and I apologize.
It was. I wasn't going there, but hey, you know what? That's fair, I suppose. I
It,
liked Wolfisto. It just wasn't quite the
it
same.
wasn't the
Yep.
expectation.
Wolfisto was a cool fight
Oh
if it
yeah,
was followed up by a full-on, you know, Mephisto fight. But how
it
much of that is also nostalgia? So,
right.
yep.
I I feel like slowing Diablo 4 down in the manner that they have exposes more flaws and
Mm,
doesn't make for as an enjoyable game right now.
sure.
I think what they are doing can definitely lead to something good down the road. I see the avenues, right? I can see the
Sure.
avenues for where like certain things can come in to to ease the pain points, cuz part of, the previous seasons was getting things up and running, getting like decent enough gear and then chasing perfect gear, right? Like
Right.
perfect gear and mythics, and then, perfect mythics. Now we've pushed that so far up and so far away and I've said it kind of time and time again. My biggest problem with Diablo 4 is I hate having to try and find the same thing twice. If something takes me a
Mm,
long time to find, I should be happy that I found it, and I shouldn't have to find it unless I need another one for a different character. But now I need to find this other Tempest Roar, but it needs to have, 2GA or through, whatever it has to be. I need to go
sure.
find this again. It already took me so long to find just this one, but it's not good enough. And that just never feels fun. But when it gets stretched
Sure.
out, it feels significantly worse. It's now going to take even longer. And then that is very much killed, on top of playing Druid this season, has very much killed my desire to play much of season 8, right? Um, but,
My only so I have
uh,
a question with that
yeah.
because I've heard that complaint before and it doesn't make sense to me because I look, I mean, maybe this is a class thing playing a sorcerer.
Mhm.
Um, but at no
Like I'm
point
an
am I searching.
elitist class.
No, like
No,
I
I'm
don't
messing with you.
like what I mean is like I don't I I play the same game, but I don't experience that. Like obviously I'm playing the Ice Shards build, so I want Azure Wrath really really bad. But before I get Azure Wrath, there's still plenty of meaningful powers I can put on a weapon to fill that slot and still be able to play the build before I'm able to get access to Azure Wrath. And then once I get Azure Wrath, like right now, I don't even have an ancestral one. I have a regular one. So yeah, I'm hunting an ancestral one long term, but I'm still like doing everything I can to make this one really, really good. And like when I get that ancestral drop that has the right affix, and then I'm able to masterwork it the right way, that's like holy shit, awesome. And I just feel like that like isn't that I mean, and maybe I'm off base here, but isn't that like the objective, right? Like, because if you could just find one weapon and it'd be like, oh my god, this is it, this is amazing, I'm done forever, does that feel good? Or do you
For
want to feel that sense of progression?
I think progression should come from skills and in Diablo skills and Paragon,
Oh, I mean, I
and
agree.
not
Love
from
skills.
items. And I think that's where the issue really comes into play of like I'm spending all this time chasing the RNG so that this build can come together, as
It's I see
opposed
what you're
to
saying.
having that happen and then the item enhances it, right?
Right.
Uh,
No, and that makes and you're also talking Tempest Roar, right? Like
yeah.
which and there's certain builds that require certain things, and I think the build I'm playing is a little more fluid. But Tempest Roar is so
Yeah.
required for so many builds. That makes sense for
It
sure.
and I think it's not just a druid issue. I think playing other classes have
Sure.
it, maybe not to as much of an extreme, but you're still very much putting too much power on these items. And like that's where a
Yeah.
lot of those complaints come in with the masterworking of it all, right? Because like
Yeah.
the second this item is bricked, my build isn't working right because all of my power is here on this one thing, and it's not being offset as much by the skills. It's not being offset as much by the Paragon system. And it just doesn't feel as good. And I think of like, kind of looking at Path of Exile 2, my build comes together off of the items. The items are enhancing it, right? I can have a
Right.
decent build and feel like I make progression even if I don't find the items that are kind of like on my wish list, or an item that would be
Right.
close. And that always
Right.
feels good because like I can always be chasing an item that makes it a little bit better, but if I don't find it, I'm still getting better by something else. And I I can see the avenues where Diablo can have that. They have talked and they did put out a little bit of a video highlighting what came up in that development chat about coming back to the skill system.
Yeah.
That, to me, if we're looking at like what's happening between that, as you talked about, that Torment 2 to Torment 3 push, the Torment 3 to 4, if that power was pushed back and you were gaining that in those lower torments, that would feel so much better. It would feel so much better that my character progression was tied to those choices I was making, not the luck along the way that's required for any choice I made to matter.
Right. No, and that makes sense for sure. I mean, obviously, I've been a big proponent for that. Like, take the take the aspect system and put it into the skill tree. Like, just do that for me, please.
Yeah.
Like, that would be such a huge change. But that's such a huge change. Like, that is
Yeah,
such a huge change to the game.
I
So
mean,
I understand,
it's
right?
kind of
Like,
the
I'm,
it's kind of the only system that's left that
left. Yeah,
hasn't been
yeah.
changed, right?
Well, Paragon too, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's get rid
yeah.
of that too.
Yeah. See, and then now we're just like, now is this even Diablo 4, right? It's that, because now it's a whole different game
Yeah,
altogether. But
it
no,
it
but
is.
not saying that's a problem at all, because obviously I do think the skill tree getting a revamp and getting more juice added to it would be really great. I think that having the power in your skills and your gear, enhancing that is fantastic, but then I think you run into the other problem of what then do you do with gear, because to overhaul the skill system and to do something like that requires them to then redo the loot system again.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And now what affixes do you put on gear that are impactful but that aren't required? So now, like, are you reducing the amount of interesting things you can put on items to put it in the skill tree, which is fine, for sure, but this game has kind of gone the opposite direction where they want the chase to be the drop, and so they want you to chase that thing. But they've also, I mean, one could also argue that most items in this game, if you're like, I want to find this thing, you can do that. But if you play by yourself in hardcore, that's a lot more challenging. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm like, if I want to play and play a Tempest Roar Druid, I'm telling you right now, I could hit 70 tonight and have a Tempest Roar by the end of the night.
Right.
Like, I know I could, right? Now, should that be the way you build a successful druid or whatever? Like, probably not, right? And obviously that's a very narrow example. But I totally understand what you're saying. I just haven't experienced that, and I think that's because while leveling, I wanted to toy and tweak with some stuff. I knew end game I wanted to play Ice Lance, but I think I started Chain Lightning just because I'm familiar with leveling as Chain Lightning, and like I would find a piece like, oh, you know what? Okay, then I'll tweak this skill, and then I'll do. And so I was actually like trying to go through it and just like play the game, right? Just play the game without like this end goal in mind, and kind of like Diablo 3 mentality, like kill stuff, let my drops that fall on my lap go, oh, well that enables this, so let's try this then, and just do
Right.
that. I enjoyed it a lot more. And then once I get to end game and I've got a ton of backup loot in my stash, and I've got the materials to masterwork and temper and all that stuff, then I can pick the build and go for that build. But I've enjoyed the journey. I really have, and I didn't expect to. And I think that some of the fights are cool. I think they've done. I think that some of the mechanics they've added are pretty neat. Obviously, there's some really annoying ones I know, and I know that everyone's really butthurt about the fact that you have to like do mechanics. But then people also bitch and moan because fights are meaningless and you just like one shot the boss. I think now people are just mad because you one shot the boss and have to wait, dodge the mechanics, and then one shot the boss again.
Right.
And that doesn't feel great either. But some of these builds are just out of control.
Yeah, I think it also goes back to like what is the goal of a Diablo boss, and I think Diablo's always been bosses are loot pinatas. It doesn't mean that that can't change, right? It doesn't mean that they're not
Yeah.
allowed to make those things different than those that have preceded it. But when you go from 7 seasons of boss being loot pinatas to now they are 5 minute long, however long, intricate fights, and the loot does not compensate the time, right? If the loot is not as plentiful or equivalent, or the RNG is bad, it just doesn't feel as good to do it, right? It just doesn't. If I'm going in and going to spend this time working on this boss and doing it, and then I just get bad drops, it doesn't feel as good as what it was before when I would be able to cruise through them.
Yeah, but one would argue that the latter, or the former, is the way Diablo has always been.
Yeah,
How many times do you kill Andariel and Mephisto in Diablo 2 before you get the thing you want, right? Before you get the thing that you need, right? Or get
correct.
something that you need that you can then go trade. And I think that that's the thing too, is that like, again, what do we want? I don't know. Like, for me, I've enjoyed. You have to enjoy the loop, and that's the thing that's broken for you is the loop has not been fun for you because you don't enjoy the incursions and you don't have, yeah, I mean, Druid problems. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
And look, Sork's doing good, but we're not as good as some other classes, but we're doing
No.
well, and it's been fun. I always play Sork, no matter where we're at. I have fun with it normally. And I think that there is a lot that's positive about the season. Yeah, I've enjoyed kind of just playing a little more casually and just kind of having fun with it. I knew it's a shorter season, so for me, it's like, hey, I'm not gonna like. There's not there's no competitive leaderboard, so like I don't know what I'm pushing for anyway, right? Like let's just
I'm pretty
have some
sure
fun with it.
Elon Musk just posted that he's the number one
Oh,
hardcore druid. So there's some sort of leaderboard out there. Also, fuck you, Elon Musk. You probably paid for it anyway. Um,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I don't know why anybody is glazing up a dude who admitted to having somebody play his account. Congratulations. Post what you want, dude, but I'm not nobody's impressed that you've got a good Diablo time when you admitted to paying people to do it for you. I digress.
dude is cringe,
Since we're talking
cringe,
about
cringe.
leaderboards, right? Um which are coming in 2026.
Roadmap.
Yeah. Uh, it's hard. It's a conflicting place. Like I just really haven't found the fun. I haven't found the joy in this season.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a bummer because there was a little bit of a lull because we had the 4 month season prior, and I was hoping to hit the ground with this one and really enjoy it. And I'm still like I said, I was in this morning. I did a few bosses. Totally fine. I think like my first Urivar fight, I went in completely blind, like right as I got to Torment. I just was like, oh, I'll go here. And the boss fights as they are, you don't get to leave them. There's no like you either win
You're there now. Yeah,
or
or you're
you
dead.
lose, which in
Yep.
hardcore is really exciting until you're like, oh shit, I have to I have to do this. It was a
Yep.
long, drawn out fight down to the last potion. Um, I lived. I lived to tell the tale here. I didn't get shit
Nice.
for
You did
loot,
it.
and I didn't go back. um, my build is in a better place now, but that was fun. That was nice. Is it? Do I want that experience every single time? Um, no. I don't think that's always replicable in that because
Sure.
it was that first time. I didn't know the fight. Um, I've said before, I do enjoy longer, prolonged boss fights if the payoff is worth it, right? If there's something there to kind of make the expended time worth it. We're grinding for these materials to get the loot anyway. It'd be cool if we got the loot that we were going for, but I digress. As I said, I think there are those vantage points. There are those good jumping off points for where things can change. We know that Nightmare Dungeon rework is coming up. Is that springboard between your Torment 2, Torment 3, Torment 3, Torment 4? Is that going to be more akin to a Path of Exile mapping like system where there
I mean,
is
I'll be honest. That's kind of how it's been for me this season. Like I normally don't engage in Nightmare Dungeons. I'm on record as saying how much I do not love
mm-hmm,
that system, and I've been since the beginning. And like before we got on the podcast, I ran like 5 or 6 in a row because the master working materials are easier to get. Hordes are not great for my build right now. I'm sure they will be eventually, but like right now, I feel more comfortable in a Nightmare Dungeon. I mean, shotgun build going down hallways feels pretty much
right,
better
right.
than mobs spawning on you, you know. So yeah, so I've been running Nightmare Dungeons, and that's allowed me to masterwork, which has allowed me to hit armor caps and resistance caps a little faster, which has allowed me to push and get, I'm closer and closer. I'm almost a Torment 4. I'm running Torment 3 right now, but I could do Torment 4. I just, again, my survivability is still not there. So, like,
Mm,
using Nightmare Dungeons to pump up my current gear to get me to that level to where I can go to Torment 4 and find the gear to replace it long term is kind of the loop. And I've honestly kind of really enjoyed it. Especially if I take it a little more casually. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but I also understand the other side of it, right? Like it can be tired, it feels a little stale. I've just, yeah, playing it a little more casually this season has led to positive results. But I also think my build's pretty fun, so there's that too. It is about, I think, your build and your class, right? How that feels. It's a very different experience depending on. I mean, even us playing in the open world, we're experiencing two different things altogether.
right.
That mixed with our builds, like it's understandable to have very different experiences from everybody, and I hope the internet understands that because that's how it goes.
Yeah, no,
Everyone experiences things differently. So
I think this is great. I think it also explains like the maybe that ebb and flow of like what we've seen in terms of the game's direction, because
Yeah.
here we are both very passionate Diablo fans having a very different Diablo experience in the same season, right?
Sure.
Um, where like it has not caught me nearly as much as what I was hoping for, and it seems to have really enraptured you. And what do you do? Like, how do you address
Yeah.
that?
Don't know. I don't know, and
Right.
that's I mean that's the hard thing about the art form. I mean, like, they're trying to make the best game they can for themselves, and sometimes it hits with certain people, and sometimes it doesn't. And it's. I mean, I still have gripes this season. Like, can we please fix the memory leak issue? The one thing that
Mm-hmm.
has stopped me from playing the game is my game crashing. Like,
Right.
even like reducing the settings like has been, yeah, not great. And then now I'm not having that problem as much. I'm having a different problem where my video card just times out on me.
Hmm.
So it's just weird little things. And that's not great. If that was fixed though, I would be glowing about the season even more because I have had a lot of fun with it, shockingly. And by the way, I want to shout out the voice actor for Belial is amazing. Like every single time he gives his little like speech at the beginning of an incursion, I love it. Like I don't know why I love it, but I love it. And I do think that fight was pretty cool and definitely a callback to Diablo 3. Um, I just think they made Belial kind of a bitch. I really do. I don't know why it feels that way. I don't think it's their fault or his fault. But for some reason now, just the thought of Belial being a primeval and a boss feels like, man, yeah, no, I don't know.
I
And Dario got a cool thing in the campaign. So did Mephisto or
right.
Wolfisto or whatever. Duriel did. So it just feels like with this one, it's just like I don't know, kind of just there.
I think like isn't that the danger of any video game where you've had to beat the
Sure.
same boss too often, where it's like this is a
Yes.
threat. It yeah, I don't know what you do in that regard.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's hard. I understand that, but yeah.
yeah. Speaking
And it is cool that we got to fight Belial. So
yeah,
it is cool. It's just, you know,
it's
there's a downside to it.
yeah. I
Oh, and the fact that the character from the season journey stuff, the story, I did like the story quite a bit. And Visceri lore is cool. Feels a little tacked on, but Visceri lore is cool, so we're excited about that too.
yeah. I think again, I'm happy that you are enjoying this season. I want to be there with you, and I like my little companion druid. I'm gonna take a moment. I'm gonna take a moment. I want to just complain about the druid for a solid. Give me 2 minutes. Give me two
All
minutes
right,
here.
cool. All right, you are on the clock. Go for it.
I love the idea of a druid more than I like playing it, and I play a druid every single season. My favorite Diablo druid is still a Diablo 2 druid. My favorite looking Diablo druid is a Diablo 4 druid, but
Mm,
the class has no identity and has so many things to it. It wants to
mm-hmm,
be every single part of a druid simultaneously while actually having no true identity. You can't be a full companion druid because you're still going to need an ultimate that's not a companion skill. You're going to need a core skill that's not a companion skill. You're going to need a generator that's not a companion skill. And that feels wrong. You can't be a true storm druid because you're still going to have to rely on some sort of shifting mechanic to boost your damage up, right? Or to increase your durability or anything like that. You can't. You can make a true werebear druid, I suppose, but it's going to be better if you also still shift to werewolf from time to time to again increase your damage. Can't be a true werewolf because it's going to be better if you shift to a bear every now and then. And like it just doesn't feel good no matter where you're at with it. It just feels like you're getting forced to grab things that you don't want to. And I think it'd be cool if the druid had its own unique identity in multiple ways. It just doesn't do that now. And stop giving us unique helmets. Stop giving us unique helmets. All right, that's my druid rant. I didn't actually time it.
I
But
didn't either.
You looked like you had started one at least.
I know, I know, I
And,
know. I was going to, and
and it
then I
was
just
just so
decided to sit back and
engrossing,
enjoy
and
it.
you just cared so much about the druid.
Well, in that moment, I realized if you went 4 minutes, what was I gonna do? Stop you? No, I need this. I need this build.
That's true. Like I would come back and edit it in later and be like, Rush, add this in.
We got no bosses.
I got,
We got no bosses.
I got, I got 2 more minutes of druid here. It, yeah, it just, I want to have a hurricane going around me while I cast tornadoes and mow down demons, just like Diablo 2. And
Mm,
yes, I know you can do that. You can make that work, and you can make a build that does that. I understand. However, it's not going to work as well as it could. It's not going to be
sure,
supported in the same way. It's not going to have
sure,
the effectiveness of something else. And it's just not going to feel complete. And
sure.
yeah, it just doesn't feel good. That's my druid complaint. And you can see, I think there are other druids out there not engaging with the class. I'd be curious from a softcore perspective, how many druids do you see in the open world?
I mean, not infrequent.
I mean, there's only you know 6 classes to choose
Yeah. I
from.
mean, like right. I don't feel like there's any class that I mean, I feel like rogues are the ones I see the least, but
Really?
that's super anecdotally. Well, besides sorcerers, but
Yeah.
I'm always playing a sorcerer, so it's kind of skewed. Um, but no, I mean, I don't. I mean, I see druids out in the open world
Hmm.
all the time. None of my buddies play druid. Specifically, like a couple of them have dabbled or done an alt. Like, in fact, actually, all of us have done alts that were druids, but no one's ever made one for a season, for in my group of friends at least.
For
But I do feel like I see them out quite a bit because I cling to them. I see a druid and I'm like right behind him. Like, you run, buddy. I'm right behind you. I'll blast stuff, right? Like, um, so yeah. So I mean, like, there's and same with barbarians too. Like, I just if it's kind of like if you see like a paramedic driving down the road and everyone just parts and you just like pull right behind the paramedic and you just it's like that Die Hard trick, right? Where it's how he gets through traffic.
right.
It's the same thing, right? If I see a barber or druid, I just get right in line and just draft. Let's go.
Um, Coming back to our progression, I do have Nine Balls comment. I forgot that we were going to bring it up. Uh,
I was gonna mention it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
courtesy of Nine Ball. Uh, oh hi. My only thought to add is that with the changes to the game, I'm finished with the season. I'm finishing the season with less playtime than season 7. I'm not finished the season journey, nor will I probably finish it. The progression of the system and finding all my gear to get to T2, T3, and then having to re-find all the same exact gear again, but with GAs and to grind out Obdicite and glyph levels to get to T4 just wears the game out much faster than previous seasons where it was, quote unquote, deemed too easy. And really, the only reason he is currently kind of grinding through is to finish out the Berserk Reliquary. Kind of. I think Nine Ball and I are very much on that same page
Sure.
of
Yeah.
the season being stretched out as it is, just not feeling quite as right.
Well, I think and that's what's crazy is because going into this season, I anticipated feeling that way. Like, I really did not expect to enjoy this season. I expect to burn out of it pretty quick, and I don't know. You guys are both kind of in the same boat, feeling that way, and I understand it completely. But yeah, I've actually the leveling felt stiff and sticky. The end game slash mid end game like gearing progression has actually felt really good to me, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So it's not what I expected, but I also understand the sentiment, for both you guys.
It's not a we're right, you're wrong kind of thing,
Sure.
despite the overwhelming majority of the podcast feeling that way and all of the evidence that would be
I'm wrong.
stacked
I know. No, hey,
against you.
it's
But
fair. No, for
it's
sure.
not a we're right, you're wrong kind of thing. It's opinions are mixed.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
it's it's just kind of the way it is. But
Well, and that's the beauty of it, right? Because like if you aren't enjoying it, you don't have to play it.
yeah,
That's totally fine, right?
yeah,
And I am enjoying it. I can play it a lot if I want to, and I've got all weekend, and I'm super excited about it, right? So
yeah.
like, yeah, I understand. It's how it goes, you know. But um, no, I am excited to see the PTR stream next week. I know you're going to get to that in a second, I'm sure.
I had to
Um,
segue in there at some point
uh,
until
well, hey,
I got
you're, you know
more
what, Xan?
seasons eight thoughts.
You know what? You're welcome.
Thank
There
you.
you go. So yeah, like I am excited about the PTR stream to see what's coming next for sure. Um, but I definitely plan on playing tonight with some buddies. Like we're gonna jump in and do some bosses here or there and run some stuff. I was actually having a lot of fun running Undercity earlier. I did a couple of those back to back and that was fun. But I'm excited to see what's coming next for sure.
Again, I want to point out to everybody who listens to the podcast how positive Nerdwords is right now.
I feel I feel like maybe I am. I don't mean to be that negative, but yeah,
I
I'm having
never
fun.
feel like are overtly negative by comparison, but I feel like typically it'll be Nineball and myself that are feeling in feeling the way that you are right now.
Sure.
And you are still playing, but you're playing more out of spite and less out of love. And it is kind of flipped and it feels weird.
I am genuinely enjoying the ice shards build this
Which
season.
is
I'm
yeah, that's
enjoying playing
awesome.
something that is I really that it might be as deep as that is that like I know that lightning spear is still god tier and still the end all be all, but I'm playing a build that's a little less than, and I'm having a lot of fun playing the build, and it's been successful. I'm not blasting T4 yet, but I should be there tonight, hopefully. And I definitely have the capabilities to do it once I get my defenses up. So yeah,
Nice.
I'm enjoying it, and it just is different, and different feels really really good because I've played Lightning Spear for so many seasons at this point. Yeah,
No, I think that is great. Um you mentioned the PTR. We did, we are going to get a PTR stream this week, or not this week, but next week, because it is Friday the 16th. Um, so we'll get it next week. Thursday, we'll find out what's happening with this PTR, and I would assume as these kind of things have worked out, is we hear about the PTR, and then the PTR is like the week that follows. I I would
yeah.
assume.
Usually, yeah,
I'm we already know this season is pretty short. We got a 2-month season, so we can get back onto track. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to get to something new during that time. Get something going. That I'm this honestly, the way I've felt about this season has compelled me to play the PTR because I want to see it. And normally I'm in the midst of a season and I don't want to engage with the PTR. This is one that I more than likely will, depending on what they have to say. I'm
right,
curious. I was not expecting to see a PTR on this one. I mean, I understand they want to
yeah.
because there'll be new powers. They probably want to test them, make sure there aren't any major bugs that cause the game to crash for others down the way. Um, See, that was look what's happened. This is what happens when Nerdwarts is not the negative one. This is who I've become. God, I don't know how I feel about it. Okay, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, but
No.
I'm intrigued for, okay, so we know we got the borrow power system, but there's also supposed to be other things on this roadmap. And we've heard that they're rather excited about the stuff that is on the horizon. The stuff that doesn't
Hmm.
make it onto the roadmap banner. And I think, like, first it's tempering expectations. Uh, is this new season going to fix the skill system item disparity in terms of where power is located? Probably not.
Right.
But could it? No, but like, could.
But
I mean, anything's possible right now. We're living in this hypothetical world, but Nightmare Dungeons, getting some sort of a system that gives them more validity and makes that system more engaging. That would be cool. That would be something to play with. To play
Yeah.
with
Oh yeah, for sure.
whatever what that is. To go into a nightmare dungeon with more purpose than just material chasing, right?
Right. Right.
I'm for that. Um, I'm curious to see what they're cooking. It, I asked a question at the end of last episode. The question
Mhm.
was, this season cooked for an extra month, does it feel like it needed an extra month for this season to exist? To me, that answer is no. It
If you're talking about from a content standpoint, I mean, sure. But considering I keep crashing due to memory leak issues, it needed longer.
yeah, there are those. Um,
It's really frustrating. Like I want to play and it crashes. That's the, that's tough.
yeah. I haven't dealt with much crashing. In fact, I would say most of my outside of the reliquary kind of freezing me, most of my gameplay has been not on PC, it's been on PlayStation. Um,
Ah, gotcha.
so I just haven't had those issues.
Well, it's been fixed since the patch,
Okay.
but I am still playing on like the lowest settings possible,
Okay.
and it's just, it's not awesome. That sucks. That's a little bit. That's the only big downside for me this season, for real.
And here I am on the
I
opposite going, everything's cool, it's fine. See? It's a yin yang.
Yeah,
We
see,
we
yeah.
balance.
Look at the balance. Look at it. We even said balance at the same time. Wow.
Yeah. I think we're we're leveling out now. I think that is good. Again very excited for um what they're gonna be cooking up. I'm excited to see what this new season has to bring to it, but also again tempering my expectations. I
Yeah,
I just hope that whatever it is, I I just find a little bit more joy in that, right? We talked a little bit, on the last season about just kind of burning out because season 7 just went so quick, right? I just kind of done everything. And then this is kind of the opposite where I've been slowed down where I don't want to do anything. Like it's such a strange dichotomy between those two seasons, and then I think it's just finding that middle ground, ideally, which it seems like you have found here. What I would hope to find in season 9 of like wanting to aspire to do everything and being content with doing the day to day, and I just haven't found that yet.
yeah. No, it makes sense. Hopefully so, right? Hopefully they got some good stuff, and I'll be excited to see what the. I just really want to. I would like to see some innovation in the seasonal space, like in what they do there, like something maybe pretty wildly different. I would like to see something there, but other than that, I'm just excited to see what's coming next, and we're getting closer to whatever story content is coming next because as time progresses, expansions and
Right. I,
whatever's
th-
happening next is on the horizon. So
I think it's a conversation for a different podcast, but whether or not the seasons and expansions is a winning formula, um, from the perspective of it seems like seasons can't have as much of an impact because there's something cooking so far behind the scenes, right? So like, we talked about
yeah,
wanting skills to be shifted as much away from items and like tempering and all that kind of stuff, but you can't do as much of that while you've got a group of people who are working in the back on a major expansion, right? Like there's this major
sure.
expansion cooking that's not going to be out for we know at least a year, and now you just changed up a major fundamental part of the game. That's not going to help development of it. So then we get more of these kind of like, okay, we can introduce a item per class, we can introduce, but we can't do new skills, we can't do all that, and maybe that in some ways is detrimental to the overall health of the game where it feels like each season isn't as much of a tune in kind of moment, whereas an expansion definitely is.
Sure. Yeah, I mean maybe so. It's hard to say, right? Like I we went a long time between Diablo 2 LOD and Diablo 3, and then we went a long time between Reaper of Souls and Diablo 4. And but we also know that, Blizzard and many companies like it have many teams moving and many teams working on different things. And um yeah, for me, like, I think that Diablo 4 is in a good place from a gameplay perspective. Like, there's definitely opportunities with it, and there's things that I've not enjoyed in seasons and things that I do enjoy in this season right now, which is great. But part of being an ARPG fan or a Diablo fan is kind of the patch cycle and getting used to the changes to the game and the new game at this point. I mean, it's been this way for a long time, even with Diablo 3 for a long time. So um, you just kind of find what you enjoy about it, or if not, you put it down for a little while, move on, and come back. I think that's how it works. But as far as like them splitting their difference or splitting their resources, maybe, and it hurting the game, I think that it's always a possibility or a probability. For me, what excites me about Diablo and has always excited me about Diablo is the content, and specifically the story content, because I love and I've always loved the world building of Diablo, and I've loved it for most of my life. And I think that I find more joy in seasons where there is a little bit more of that. Like, for me, I would say Season of the Construct was one of my favorite seasons besides this, because of the content we got, because of the lore, and the stuff with Zoltan Cool was really interesting and fun. Stuff with Belial has been pretty fun. Obviously, it kind of trivializes him, like I said. There's downsides to it, but it has been fun to see little bits of that and to see him come back into the game. And I think the fight is cool, and I think that the incursions, like, I love that. Again, I really love the eye popping animations. It's really weird, but it's really fun. Um, but I don't know. I hope that's not slowing down whatever progress they're trying to make with the game. um, Hopefully whatever they're working on long term is at a place where it's independent enough from this game, because I would like to hope that this team is talented enough, or excited about it enough to want to innovate in the space. And if they're still riffing on the same things that they've been doing in Diablo 4 in that, that's kind of a bummer. Hopefully it is separate enough to be able to be separated completely.
Well, we will obviously find out eventually down the road, and let's see what they're cooking up next week on the campfire chat. Speaking of which, let us know what you are feeling in this season. Is Xanth and Nineball in the wrong? Are we, the negative Nancy's that we are often painted out as, or are you in the Nerdwards camp? Oh, positivity, the positivity camp. Um, just singing songs and enjoying your time, and there's no wrong answer. But just understand that for the one time, you might be agreeing with Nerdwords, and think about that for yourself.
Wow. 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 Yeah, and there's definitely no gray area in the middle there either, guys. It's either one or the other,
You love it,
for sure.
or you're
Yeah.
not having a good time. No, but do sound off. I'm curious where anybody who listens to the show has fallen with this season. Um, and maybe I know there are people who listen that haven't been playing. If that was enough to get you to go in and try it, you've heard Nerdwords go off on rants before. He's loving it. What does that do to your conscience? How do you reckon with that? I don't know. This wasn't how I expected this episode to go at
I
all.
Me either. Me either.
It's just
I understand.
I'm no, this is great. This is great. Anyways, let's close it out as we always do with a moo, moo, moo,
Moo.
moo.